Hello, everybody. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Rachel.
And this is So I'm Watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Season 5, Episode 5, The Pirate Queen. Okay, better.
Better, yeah.
Yeah. We both was like, this episode was like 50 minutes, and it was like 35 minutes deep, and we were about to call it a day when they were having that meeting about Midge getting arrested by the Coast Guard.
Yep.
We'll get there. To start, in 1987, apparently Joel is in prison.
Yeah.
It seems like not for too terribly long, and he is about to be getting out in 3 to 4 months with good behavior.
Did they say what the sentence
No,
was?
but I feel like it has to be something to do with either the club or he covered for Midge somehow.
Well, but he said that he was going to see the baby Rose in 4 to 6 months. So does that mean that he's at the tail end of a longer sentence?
I don't know.
I don't know. Cause
either that or like he said a lot of stuff about financial things. So then my other idea was like white collar crime, like embezzlement or fraud or something.
I don't know. I couldn't even begin to guess.
Yeah.
I mean, other than like him beating somebody up really bad, but he's like old, so I don't know.
Well, in that case, I think it would have had to be a long sentence.
Yeah.
It was like a murder, a murder 2 charge.
Maybe.
Regardless, if he went away to prison for Midge, I'm pissed. And if he's still being that friendly after he went away, like in some way because of Midge, I'm pissed. We'll see. I also I'm getting to the point where I do still like these like glimpses into the future, but then I also, there's a couple things happening that are sort of irritating me. And like about the show as a whole. The first is that while I do like these glimpses into the future, they feel kind of too little too late.
Yeah.
Like we're all the way at the end and now we're like, well, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And then the other thing is I'm almost like, well, then what's the point of the stuff that we're doing in the like present day, like the 60s? And in addition to that, why are we introducing new characters? There's an actor who takes up the entire C-plot of this episode.
I don't know.
It's really weird and kind of off-putting.
I don't know.
So, besides that, the like least important thing is that Zelda and Janusz get married in the apartment. Moish and Shirley are also there. It's very cute. But at one point during Janusz's vows, he talks about how Zelda can like be free of the burden of work. And so Rose and Abe absolutely lose their collective minds because they're like gonna lose Zelda.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, we'll get it worked out or we won't. More than halfway through the final season seems like a weird place to be doing something like this, but whatever. So after that wedding, Joel and Midge go out on the balcony and they're talking about all the things that are going on. And it's been a couple of months since the last episode.
Yes.
Which was good to know.
Yes.
And so he says something about Frank and Nikki, and Midge assures him multiple times that he doesn't have to worry about Frank and Nikki. She's not worried about Frank and Nikki, and she also said, I've done that garbage show, so I don't need to worry. Like, that's it, so we're square.
That obviously means that
Susie didn't tell her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I don't know. I mean, I assume that's something to do with the falling out. Okay, so they met in the 50s, right? It's been several years.
Yeah.
So they met in the late 50s. And if it's a 25-year friendship, that means that around the time that we are jumping to, like the mid-80s, if it was like the mid-50s to the mid-80s, that's about the time that she and Susie would have fallen out. So, like, let's say then that Joel got busted on, like, a RICO charge, which is what they always go after the mob with.
Oh, maybe.
Then that would be, like, a couple of years. Like, depending on how far down in the charge he was.
Yeah. And then I'm wondering if, because Joel made such a big deal about, like, my father's in the garment industry.
Yeah.
You know.
And I'm in the club business.
Yeah, so I wonder if
And he's tied up with the Chinese mob, too.
Yeah, and so I wonder if, like, you know, against his better judgment, he gets wrapped up in it. And so then he gets busted for something. Interesting.
That could definitely be. And if you're wondering why I know so much about racketeering, it's because there's a really good John Grisham book called The Racketeer. You should read it. So that was interesting to me. I'm just very I feel very like I feel when we are covering Yellow Jackets, where I'm like, but who's in the pit? And so now I'm just like, okay, but like, why is Joel in prison?
Yeah.
Like, it's very important to me to know that.
Yep.
Also, I assume then that Rose is Ethan's child.
Yes.
Because Esther does not
Esther's
seem
not
like
having a
she's going to
baby.
be getting married anytime soon.
No.
That, to me, would make sense.
Midge and Joel make out.
They did also make out, yeah. And then she had to go to the, what is it?
The boat thing.
Diddy do diaper?
Yes.
Something. But she said, we'll pick this up later. So we'll see. Oh, Joel and Archie are also looking to buy a church. Like a Catholic church.
Yeah.
To open a club in.
Yeah, that's like, that's been all the rage for years.
Okay. Well, it seems like it's still an active church. There are nuns all over the place.
Yeah, but it's probably being, like, in the process of being
like
decommissioned. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like you can rent event spaces that are, like, former churches all over the place in New York City.
Okay. It's pretty.
Yeah.
Archie's having a really hard time, though, because he is Catholic.
That religious trauma, though.
Yeah,
Once it's got its claws in you, it never really leaves.
And then Joel was absolutely flirting hard with, like, a little novitiate nun.
Clementine was flirting
Clementine was flirting, too,
but
but...
she was like, I like music and dancing. Ma'am, why are you a nun?
Yeah, why are you in this life?
Get thee from the nunnery.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Away.
Yeah.
Exit. Pursued by Joel.
Yeah.
So...
That was good. That was good.
Thank you. That should be kind of cool. That's interesting. And it seems then that the Button Club is doing well enough that they're either going to expand or move.
Yep.
Which is cool. I did like the whole... I like when Archie pops up, and I don't know what Bailey DeYoung is doing, but, like, I would love to see Imogene again this season.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, we're only seeing Archie.
I mean, we refer to Imogene a ton. It sounds like
So
Imogene
much.
is working for Midge. Because
in
she
the
was,
future, yeah.
Because remember, Imogene has been going to secretarial school. That's where we left her last season.
That's right.
Or the season before. I don't know. How long has it been since we've seen her? But
I think we saw her last season because what did Abe kept calling her the wrong name? He kept calling her something else. Oh,
it was just there and it just left.
And he and Midge. Dodie, yeah. They kept going back and forth. Like, her name's always been Imogene.
Was that not 2 seasons ago?
I don't know
either. Anyway, she's been in secretarial school.
Gordon calls a meeting of all the writers and Mike and George to talk about, the monologue. But first they talk about a new sponsor, which is the diaper cream. And Gordon is being kind of a man about it. He's like, I'm not going to talk about diaper cream. That's humiliating. And it's like, okay, fine. It's the 60s. I guess I'll allow it. But, like, nut up and talk about diaper cream. Because they want to attract female viewers. Female late night viewers. And so Midge kind of, like, gets in there with, like, a couple little quips or whatever. But Gordon is, like, refusing. Even though there's, like, a party planned.
George is already, like, signed, sealed, delivered, the, like, absolutely it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, and Gordon, that's the thing that I did like about Gordon in this scene, because George was like, well, you want a new set. And Gordon was, and then he was like, the diaper cream will pay for that. And he was like, well, then we'll keep the old set. Like, he was not pushing the way the Midge does, where he was like, we'll find someone else to get the new set. He was like, we'll stick with how we are. Which I appreciated that attitude from him.
He seems like...
He's reasonable.
He is reasonable. I mean... it is his show, so he has every right to put his foot down for, like, creative integrity, but, you know, the way that Midge just absolutely doesn't play the game, Gordon does.
100%.
While still having his, you know, stating his needs and wanting his needs met.
100%. Gordon basically is like, no, I'm not going on this boat thing to talk to, like, schmooze a bunch of diaper cream people, absolutely not. And so then... Midge makes, like, a parting shot, because he's like, well, we need to talk about the monologue. And she's like, well, I know one thing, you're coming out in a diaper. Everybody laughs, and George gives her such a stink eye. And so she, like, noted that and went to talk to George after, and she was like, it seems like you need entertainment. I'll come on this boat trip with you. And so she does, and it actually goes amazing. Yep. George is so pleased with her. And then, first of all, I don't think at any point near Manhattan is the Hudson River wide enough to constitute international waters. I don't think rivers ever do. And then in addition to that, how did they go 3 miles out from Manhattan? International waters don't start till you're 3 miles out.
I don't know.
So I'm very confused. Regardless, she had a little rapport with the cocktail waitress on this boat earlier in the episode. And then one of the diaper do people, one of the men is harassing the cocktail waitress, really handsy, really all up in her.
Yeah, has her backed up against the table, and she was like, please, let me finish my shift.
Yeah.
And he was just like, what do you mean?
Hard gross. Plus, George had made a comment earlier in the night when Midge commented on how young all the wives were, and he was like, these are not their wives. And so it's like, so he's stepping out on his wife with a mistress, and then he's trying to hook up with the cocktail waitress. Are you
all not tired? Yeah. I'm exhausted all the time. How do you manage to keep it up for this many people?
I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't understand.
So Midge steps in and is like, hey, why don't you let her finish her shift? And she's like really gentle about it at first. She's like, let her finish her shift, and then like, whatever. And so it turns into like kind of an altercation, and she's like got his coat. She's trying to distract him from the waitress. And then she accidentally drops it. Was it accidental? I was like looking at it.
Yes and no.
Okay. So she accidentally drops his coat over the side of the boat into open water, where apparently they are over 3 miles out to sea. Regardless, she gets arrested by the Coast Guard, and this is when you and I could see us both bailing out. And just me writing a community post on YouTube to be like, we're really sorry, but Midge got arrested by the Coast Guard, and we can't cope. We can't cope.
Yeah, no. We walked into the Hudson River. We booked a flight, and we flew to New York City.
And we just walked into the
Hudson River.
So, basically, they all get back to the Gordon Ford office. Legal is there. Legal and PR are there, and George is there. And then Susie shows up, and then Gordon Ford shows up. And he's like, what the hell's going on? And he didn't realize that the boat trip was still happening because George didn't really go behind his back, but he just was like, it was already paid for. So obviously we went. And so we explained the whole thing. And this is how we get the title of the episode, because they were out so far at sea, and because the man's wallet was in the coat. And when you're in international waters, money is considered treasure. She is technically being charged with piracy, but also assault and stuff.
Aggravated assault.
No.
Because, of course, the diaper do guy claimed that she was
talking to her.
Yeah, and that Midge was aggressively assaulted him and, like, all this fucking bullshit.
No.
I hate it. I hate it.
It was, okay, we were ready to bail out until then. Susie was like, this is ridiculous. Like, Susie was like, absolutely not.
Well, and so was Gordon. And Gordon was like, I'm going back to my party.
Yeah,
like,
and then Gordon jumped in and was like, this is so stupid. Like,
yeah,
who cares? And Susie was the only other one in the room that was like, she's getting charged with assault for assaulting someone who was assaulting someone else. Yeah. Like, no. And so George was the most pissed. And he was like, she's fired, right? And Gordon was like, no.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely not. And then he also furthered that, told the lawyer to get her off all of the charges. And he was like, sure. And then he told the PR lady, let them run whatever they want. It'll be nice to know that we have a pirate on staff.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Lean into it at that point.
I mean, absolutely incredible.
I mean, the even better step would be to, like, trot her out on stage in, like, full pirate regalia.
100%.
Be hysterical.
And so Mike Carr basically came in his pants.
He did. It was just, he was like, did you see George's face? I was not even this excited when my children were born.
I mean, it was amazing. So it was like, we really were in a nosedive. And then we pulled out, and we never had clearer skies than at the end of this episode.
I might have passed out from the G-force.
It was amazing.
Pulling out.
And then he was like, that exchange with Susie was fantastic. He was like, I'm going to go home and have dinner with my wife for once. And Susie was like, it's 10:30. And he goes, it's New York City, Susie. Stop being so suburban.
I love it.
Jason Ralph is fantastic. I want him to work more than he does.
I agree.
He does a lot of charity work. I think that's fantastic. I want him to act more because I like his face. So the actor that we mentioned at the beginning, we're pretty sure he gets the role. But now Susie has got the guy on the hook, the like producer on the hook, because he was dodging their calls for. She cornered him in what I can only assume is a gay bathhouse.
Yeah, he
Oh, they confirmed it?
Well, yeah, because when she was talking to Dinah and Maggie, and Maggie was very excited about all the penis.
Okay, yeah. They were all wearing towels.
That we saw.
Yeah.
And then Susie said that there was a lot of dick in that room.
Well,
and then there was a nude conga
this is
line.
not TVMA, so they were all wearing towels. So yeah, that actor most likely got the job, and then we got another really good, interesting scene with Midge and Gordon Ford, where he comes to see one of her shows. It didn't seem like it was at the Wolford.
No, it was at the Imperial, I think.
Okay, so like a legit, like a show, because she's just like an MC at the Wolford. So he like catches her outside, and they kept on saying, "I've never seen you out of a suit." He was definitely still wearing most of a suit.
But I think it was more
like a sport coat.
Yeah,
but it was like a sport coat and slacks and a button down. That's a suit.
It's the 60s. There was a daytime suit and a nighttime suit and a swimming suit and a summer suit and a winter suit.
Fine. Either way, he offers to take her to dinner, and they go to the diner that she takes Joel to.
Where she got proposed to.
Yeah.
Where she told him that she was having a baby. They fucked in the bathroom a whole lot.
I think it's where they decided to get divorced, too.
Yes. And where they used to, like,
swap
meet
the kids.
The co-parent. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I think he's done now, but he pushes one more time for them to, like, date or even just sleep together.
I want them to bone down.
I want them to bone down, too.
Sure, Midge's reasons are very sound.
Midge's reasons are sound, and that's why I hope this is the last time he brings it up, unless she stops working at the show.
Yeah.
But even still, I feel like she wouldn't do it, because then if she does get on the show, it'll still be the same thing. Her deal is basically, if we sleep together and I ever get on the show, it'll only be because everybody will only think it's because we were sleeping together, and all of the hard work I've done will be basically nothing.
Which is fair.
Yeah, totally fair. And so he finally seems to have accepted that, but he's like, why don't we dance? And so they dance in the diner, and it's actually very sweet. Yeah, I mean, I just liked this episode. It was nice. It was nice to not just feel drained.
Yeah,
after.
I still have a sour taste in my mouth after last week, so...
I mean, I'm still irritated at Midge for acting that way, but now I'm mad at Susie.
Yeah.
She's also getting fitted for a suit, which implies that she definitely already thinks that guy's gonna win an Oscar.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know how much time was meant to pass at the end of the episode.
Yeah, I don't know.
With all those phone call close-ups.
Yeah,
like, I heard you found him in like blah, blah, blah.
That whole bit did kind of confuse me because she did kind of like stare off into space, so I
couldn't tell if it was like
wishful thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, interesting.
Really don't know.
Also, apparently, Susie Meyerson and Associates is doing gangbusters.
For real.
Got people wanting to get represented running out the door. So that's pretty cool. I still like Dinah a lot.
Me too.
I wish she was getting a little more to do.
Me too.
And Julie Klausner, Maggie, across the window. I feel like she's being woefully underused.
I agree.
And then Deborah Monk was in one scene of this episode. She was the producer's assistant.
Oh my god! Yeah. I always do that to Deborah Monk. I am so sorry, ma'am.
I saw her and I was like, I think that's Deborah Monk, and I looked it up. Sure enough.
Wow, good for you.
So I don't know. But yeah, mostly I really liked this. And then also I mentioned it to you earlier. I think it's still in development, so we don't know anything about like release dates or anything, but Amy Sherman Palladino is producing another show called Étoile about like rival ballet companies. And Gideon Glick, who plays Alfie the Magician, and Luke Kirby, who plays Lenny Bruce, are both going to be in it. So we will probably cover that whenever that happens too. Yeah. So could be fun. Yeah, so I'm cautiously optimistic for next week. I said cautiously.
Here, I think.
That is cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I'm just gray. I feel gray about it.
Okay.
Like I said, I still have a bitter taste in my mouth from last week. And so I can't even, if I even were to say that I like this, it hurts me to say it because I don't know.
I just feel like I do find it fundamentally strange that there was no repercussions for last week.
Like,
so
yeah,
that's odd. And then there's only 4 episodes left of the series. So I'm very curious how this is gonna like finish out.
It stresses me out.
Yeah.
But
4 weeks and then we're done.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
It'll be great.
It'll be fine.
All right. Well, that is it for us. Please like and subscribe and let us know what you think. And we will see you next week.
Bye.